Let's start this video by asking you to drop a like on it, because a Scottish person talking about England doesn't always go down too well. But let's just clarify one thing. Not all Scottish people hate England. That's a fact. It's not a thing. I'm indifferent, to be honest with you. I've just watched Belgium 2, England 0. I'm impartial. I'm not happy Belgium won, and if England won, I wouldn't be happy either. I just enjoyed it as a neutral. But I had an interest in this game in Declan Rice, and that's what this video is going to try and be about. It's Declan Rice watch, if you want. It's probably going to lead into a little bit of a review / Gareth Southgate's tactics unintentionally, but the point of the video is, to be honest with you, defend Declan Rice. I've noticed during the game, pretty much from the first minute, even before kickoff actually, why is Declan Rice starting for England? He's not good enough for England. This, that and the other. He is. It's an opinion, but it's almost a fact as well. Declan Rice is good enough for England. Now, whether he's the right player for England, whether he should play every match or not, whether he suits the tactics or the tactics suit him, completely different conversation. And I would agree that some of those questions aren't always yes. The answers aren't always yes to those questions. However, is he good enough? Yes, he is. Just like Harry Maguire is good enough for England. Just like Harry Winks is good enough for England. It doesn't mean they're bad players if they just don't suit what Southgate's trying to do, or Southgate can't get the best out of them or whatever. It doesn't make them bad players. Anyway, Declan Rice's game tonight. I guess I'm biased as a West Ham fan, but I would like to think I almost remove that bias from not being an England fan, if you want. It doesn't quite work like that, does it? Because you tend to defend your own club players a little bit more than others' clubs' players. Listen, first half tonight, I'm going to take in two separate halves. First half tonight, I thought the game passed him by. I didn't think he was doing too much. The only positive, if you like, was his defensive game, but I didn't think he had to do that much of it. I thought Belgium didn't need to come out their half too much. They allowed England to have the ball. He conceded the free kick for Belgium's second goal. Wasn't a free kick in my opinion. He gets in and he gets the ball before Kevin De Bruyne. De Bruyne kicks Declan Rice. It's just one of them things. Not a free kick for me, but anyway, that's the way it goes. If it hits the wall or the two players in the wall jump with Declan and Mings, it probably doesn't go in. And we would not be having this discussion about whether Declan conceded the free kick or not. But I think Southgate had to change something at half time, and he did. On came Harry Winks, and I think Declan had a better second half because England pushed forward more, which meant Belgium broke more, and therefore Declan had more defensive duties to do, and that's what he's good at. That's his game. His reading of the game from a defensive standpoint, his tackling, his interceptions, that is what Declan Rice brings to your team. That is what he's fantastic at. What he's not so good at is his passing. I felt for most of the game his switching of the play is decent enough. When he's playing slightly to the left, he plays it to the right centre back, so on and so forth, to try and move the play from one side to the other. I think he's good at that. But when it's going forward, that's where he struggles. And you couldn't have summed it up better, or the lack of his ability. When I think it was Tielemans maybe, he put the tackle in, fantastic tackle. Then England were breaking. He had the ball, he had Kane to his right, Grealish to his left. The right pass would have been to Harry Kane. We'd have possibly played Harry Kane practically through and go. He chose the wrong one, which was Grealish, and he overhit it. You can see from his own body language that he knew he messed it up as soon as he'd done it. But that's never been Declan's game. West Ham don't have Declan Rice as a creative midfielder. His roles changed this season though, and I do think that will benefit England in the long run. Last season, he was a defensive midfielder, and that's all there was to it at West Ham. Since he's come into the West Ham team, now made over 100 appearances. I reckon, 85 of those appearances maybe have been as a defensive midfielder, sitting in front of our back four usually, and just breaking up the play. He's played some games centre back. He's now got this new role in centre midfield, which is a bit more box to box. But that's only come in this season. We're only 8 games into the Premier League. That's the only time he's had playing this new role. And it's similar to what he's been asked to do with England. And he's just not quite good enough at it yet. Is he good enough for England? Of course he is. He's got the ability. But I do think there's some games where he's maybe not required for England. I think certainly when you're 2-0 down against Belgium, I think having a defensive midfielder isn't what you require in there. But he's trying to change his game. He's trying to become a bit more box to box and stuff. His dribbling's improved from 12 months ago. His dribbling's got better. His passing, just tonight he hasn't demonstrated it, but I do feel like his passing's come on in the last 12 months. Between now and when the finals are held next summer, I would expect Declan's offensive side of the game to go up a level. naturally, because he's now doing this week in, week out for West Ham, and therefore that's going to help England out. But here's the big difference. At West Ham, we don't mind the opponents having the ball. We are happy to... I mean, we play the same formations now. What England play tonight and what West Ham play, it's the same formations on paper. But the way the formations are carried out is completely different. England just have better players. They have more of the ball. Therefore, you're expected to contribute going forward. You almost expect your centre-backs to contribute from set pieces and that going forward. You don't have that at West Ham. Declan's sort of priorities are defend, keep the ball ticking over, and that's it. You don't need to be creating chances or anything. But when you're playing for England in centre midfield, you've got to do that, because what are England fourth in the rankings? Now, I don't pay particular attention to the rankings, but they are one of the best teams in football, England. Pains me to say it, despite what's at the start of the video, but they do. You've got world-class players. My country, well, we've got one, Andy Robertson, but apart from that, we don't have any world-class players. Declan would fit in perfectly for someone like Scotland, where you can graft and you can maybe do 70% of what the team requires you to do, and that's enough. But when you're with England, you've got to be able to do more. You've got to step up a level. And I do think Declan is capable, but I do think there's almost an expectancy of him to do more than what his role requires. He's now got this box-to-box role with West Ham. Like I said, he's trying to do that with England, but the two are different. What he's doing at West Ham isn't what he's doing with England. He sees more of the ball with England. He's got better players around him, though. He should be able to just come in and give it to Grealish and that. And that's where I think Southgate's tactics are wrong for Declan, or Declan's perhaps wrong for Gareth Southgate's tactics. To be someone, and it's like I said, I don't particularly want England to win, but watching that tonight and other England games almost frustrates me to see someone, Southgate that is, to have so much quality at his disposal and set up as if he's Norway. You approach Belgium tonight as if you were the underdogs. Now, you might not be the favourites with the bookies, but you should be able to go to Belgium and get your boxing gloves on and have a right good go at them and say, right, come on then. Now, in the second half, I think England did step up and do that. But Belgium were 2-0 up. They were okay to sit back and just defend the lead because they were 2-0 up. The game's completely different then. And I just think Southgate is far too almost defensive as a manager. He's got such quality players on there in the squad and players that he doesn't even have in the squad at his disposal. And I just think playing three at the back with two sitting midfielders in front of them, and your wing backs are actually full backs playing wing back. It's not like he's, if he had started, I don't know, say Saka, and sure was been fantastic this season, but if you played Saka and then Sancho as your wing backs, now I don't think they should do that. But it would suggest you've got some sort of attacking intent with your formation. He doesn't have that. And I think Declan, unfortunately, is the one player that a lot of fans, whether England fans and West Ham fans or neither, you look at Declan, you almost see him as the scapegoat. I do think it's far too overcritical. Jack Grealish is by far the best player on the pitch tonight. I think Kevin De Bruyne is the best player, but Grealish was just magnificent. But this is where Southgate can use players like Declan in order to get the best out of players like Jack Grealish by allowing Grealish to focus on the final third. Don't worry about the defensive aspect because you've got Declan Rice there. So when you lose the ball, it's all right. You've got him back there. I don't know, I'm almost ranting on behalf of England doing well, but it's just frustrating to watch, and it's even more frustrating to see Declan Rice getting all of the blame game on social media and stuff. I thought he'd done well tonight, Declan. I don't think he was man of the match. That's Jack. But I certainly think there's far worse performers out there for England, such as Mason Mount. Jordan Henderson wasn't particularly good before he was hooked at half time. You've got to look at these players as well, and I just feel a bit sorry for Declan, to be honest with you. I think the system that's set up, when you are England and you're going to play three at the back, you do not need a defensive midfielder. And Declan, naturally, at the moment, while he's going through a transitional period with West Ham, he's not quite a box-to-box midfielder yet, in my opinion. But I think he could become that, and hopefully, for England's sake, he will become that ahead of the finals next summer. But then England have to allow him to develop as a player as well, whilst playing for his country, learning the new role. But for Southgate to set up with three at the back, with two sitting midfielders in front of him, one of them being Declan, who's a natural defensive midfielder, well, not naturally, he was a centre-back, now his favourite position, or his best position, if you want to say, is sitting in front of the back 4-3. It's just not good enough for England. I know you were playing Belgium tonight, but when you see that lineup, it's very underwhelming. Even as a neutral, like I said, even as a neutral, I do look at it and think, Gareth, mate. And I think actually, while there's a lot of anger going to be placed at the feet of Mason Mount, and there's a lot of anger going to be placed at the feet of Declan Rice for England's defeat tonight, and they're going to be looking at these players' performances and stuff. But I do think you've got to look at the manager and say, well, if you are going to play this formation, you need a bit of pace up front and something. And Grealish is fantastic at winning the ball. Yeah, their first goal, Belgium's first goal, that pass from Dyer got zipped into the feet of Mason Mount. Could be Vertonghen nipped in front of him and got the ball. Jack Grealish wouldn't have allowed that. Jack Grealish would have won a free kick on the halfway line, sorted. He's intelligent. He's more intelligent than Mason. Doesn't, like I said, does not mean Mason Mount's a bad player. Doesn't mean he's not good enough for England. He is good enough for England. In a particular system. I think tonight the system let Mason down, but I think it also let down Declan Rice, not for the first time. And that's why I think Declan's going to be a scapegoat. I saw Declan tonight put in fantastic tackles, some great interceptions. Whenever Belgium broke, he was the one back there while Kyle Walker was up gallivanting up the pitch and stuff. But you won't hear anything about Kyle Walker running out of position. I mean, he had to. You were chasing the game. But Declan was doing the defensive side of the game and doing it well. You just don't notice it as much. Anyway, I'm going to shut up because I feel like for a Scotsman, I've been banging on defending, or almost like getting angry at England getting beaten. It's scaring me a little bit. But I was just wanting to defend Declan Rice actually, because as someone that watches him week in, week out and seeing how good he is, it's then just frustrating to see him become a bit of a scapegoat for the England national side. I don't like it. And I for one will be looking at Southgate and saying, well, it's his fault really. And if you don't have a space for Declan Rice, if your system does not allow for a defensive midfielder, don't play him. It's that simple. Because you definitely have players good enough to play whatever system you want at your disposal, Gareth. It really is that simple. Anyway, I'm going to disappear. If you somehow like this video, drop a like on it, and I'll appreciate it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll be back very soon.